you from the 37th parallel on America's haunted highway. It's Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.
Matter. Is it? We don't have any. Oh no. If we have any, they'd be in that drawer. Okay.
We're on, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. Hey, you know what? Entertain the folks for a second. I'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? This is Preston with Pixelated Paranormal, and joining me as always is my co-host Shawn, who left the room. Glad that you could join us this evening. We are going to hit up all the creepy news stories that we found out to round out the 2022 calendar year. There's probably some golden oldies in there that you missed. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a like and subscribe notification there. So make sure if you're watching with us that you like and subscribe and share it with all your friends. And hopefully when Shawn sits back down, he had his pants on and we didn't see him in his undies again like we did that first time.
No. Listen.
Oh.
These are pants. These are actual pants, my friend.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm a professional. I wear pants now when we record, so nobody sees my plumbing. My bait and tackle. Yeah, so hey, thanks for warming them up, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pixelated Paranormal. This would be episode 262.
Yeah,
this
I
would
already
be
did all
our
that.
year. Oh, well, look at that. Live TV, folks. Sorry, the remote to the TV died, and I had to find some AAA batteries real quick. And I had no idea where to find them. But yeah, anyway, this is our end of the year 2022 news roundup, folks. That's where we like to pop up the rest of the news stories that you may have missed and give you a couple that you didn't really care about. And with me, as always, is Presto. Buddy, how are you, sir?
I'm good. What's up, all you cool ghosts and goblins, you crococoons and crocodingos and skeletors and skelets and witchers and witches and whatever the fuck else you want to be. Party like it's 2022 because we only got a few more days.
Yeah, that's it, man. It includes some Nostradamus predictions and some other, doom porn like that. But I just thought, you know what? We say it every year. This is the big one, folks. But no, things will just keep going on just fine. Don't you worry. Your pretty little heads.
Yeah.
But Presto, did you have a good Christmas, friend?
I did. The kids got everything that they wanted. There was something called like Diamond Art, Diamond something, where they have this pixelated image of like Starry Night or Mona Lisa, The Scream, Broadway Boogie Woogie was one of them that was in the pack. And then you take this little plastic straw thing and you put the colored stones, the acrylic diamonds on it, and you make this beaded pixelated art. And my daughter got that, and she spent Christmas afternoon putting that together and making Starry Night and The Scream. They turned out really good. And then my son got all the Funko Pop vinyl figurines that he wanted, and got a pair of boxer shorts that says "D's nuts" because he's obsessed with that phrase. And every other conversation with him ends with the one-liner of "D's nuts, Dad." So yeah, and I got some goodies. The wife got goodies. Mom got goodies. Fuck Jason. Nobody cares about him. He did get a cat blanket that's got a cat in outer space with, rays of sunshine or some shit coming off of it. So he was happy. And then
Nice.
Christmas Day, we went to go see Frightful Night in the movie theaters, and that
Violent
was
Night.
Violent Night. That was a fucking blast, dude. If you haven't seen
Yeah.
that, you should go give that a whirl. So
Heck
yourself,
yeah.
did you have a good?
Shayla and yeah, sorry, I cut you off, man. This is a little different because the live stream, of course, I can't edit out us talking over each other. But yeah, I assume you're asking how our Christmas was.
I was, yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we had a good man. We spent Christmas Eve with my folks and my brother and my nephew Gavin. Had a really good time, just kind of hanging out, eating too much. We had some margaritas, and some English cuisine, and then Christmas Day, Shayla worked all day, so I just played Xbox with Corey and his brother Lake for a while, and then watched Hereditary, which is a classic Christmas film.
Yeah.
And then Monday we got together with Shayla's folks and hung out with my niece Monica for a while, and had Giuliano's, had more margaritas, and got this sweet little glass from my mom. It is a little Mars Attacks Tiki glass, and I really love it.
It's cute.
Yeah, we also watched Violent Night as well, and man, you are not kidding. That movie is a fun time.
Yeah. And then have you been playing High on Life? Because I downloaded that over the Christmas weekend. That's a pretty fun game. Yeah.
It is, man. Yeah, from the makers of Rick and Morty. Yeah, I really enjoy it, man. It's ridiculous. It's vulgar and cheesy and immature and all the right reasons. And I've played about a couple hours of it now. I think Rob's already beat it, but yeah, it's a good time, man. I really dig it quite a bit. So, well, we hope all of you folks had a good Christmas holiday, whatever you celebrate season. And we're kind of encroaching on the end of the year. Yeah, that might be kind of lizard. But you could be right. You could be right. Yeah, so we're going to start doing live streams of every night we record. This was not really mentioned or advertised because it was very kind of a little last minute on my part, realizing that Christmas came on Monday, and, well, normally I try to record that early in the week. So, anyhoozle, instead of doing the Ask Me Anything episode, Ask Us Anything episode, we're just going to do a news mop-up real quick, and then I think I'll put out the APB probably tomorrow. So if you guys have questions you would like to ask us, please email us, message us on Instagram and Facebook, text us if you know us personally. The email is pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. You can send that over to us. You can send us messages. We have a voicemail on the Google Voice, actually, if you'd like as well. That phone number is 913. Or join the live chat on YouTube. That's very true, too. Yeah, if you're watching the live chat, you can do that. We have the Google Voice of 913-662-3144. Which would be really awesome, too. If you want to leave us a little voicemail, you can ask a question. We can play it live. But, yeah, on this episode, just a little bit of news that you may have missed. Now, spoiler alert, we have a total of 7 stories, and the first one here is a bit of a whopper. A man named Andy Hackett from Worcestershire, England, a town that's just as hard to pronounce as the sauce, was fishing in the northeast of Champagne back in late November when he reeled in a specimen that's been evading anglers and fishermen alike for more than 20 years. That's right, folks, a giant goldfish. That's one of the largest specimens on record. The fish has eluded many anglers for more years and has finally met its match. His nickname is the Carrot, and it is a ginormous 67-pound goldfish. It was placed in the blue water lakes back around 20 years ago, according to the BBC. Hackett captured the infamous leather carp and koi carp hybrid after about a 25-minute fight to reel him in. Initially, it was questionable if there was equipment large enough to properly weigh the specimen, but a weigh-in was eventually conducted, and the goldfish clocked in at nearly 70 pounds. That's a big damn goldfish, dude. Holy cow. But I've
Yeah,
heard stories of people letting goldfish go, in lakes and stuff like that, and they're hardy little bastards, and so there you go.
that's why you should never flush them down the toilet because there's probably a 70-pound goldfish floating around the sewers of New York right now, just all like Blinky off The Simpsons. It's probably got like multiple
The three-eyed
eyes, and
fish. Yeah,
yeah, it's just ready to go to town.
there you go.
There you
Well,
go.
Hackett has visited the fishery several times, and the carrot, even though was spotted regularly at the lake, was difficult to catch. Just like a general big fish, they're heavy, they're slow, and they just kind of plod around. The carrot only spent a short time out of the water before he was eventually released back into the French fishery so other fishermen can try their hands at reeling him in. Anyone interested in mimicking Hackett's fishing prowess can do so, but they have to be patient because the fishery has a 5-year-long waiting list just to get in. Now, pet goldfish are significantly smaller than the carrot and typically only grow to about 2 inches long during captivity. However, they are members of the carp family, which can grow especially large if they're released into the wild. One goldfish that was caught in Lake Tahoe back in 2013 weighed more than 4 pounds and was almost a foot and a half long. Sadly, though, it is problematic to release fish into lakes all at once because they can cause issues with local ecology. They grow bigger than you might think and contribute to poor water quality by mucking up the bottom sediments and uprooting plants. So, folks, don't release them in local waterways. Well, up next, folks, it's about 10:30 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Well, the lady in our next story was pretty surprised to find out where her kid ran off to. After getting stuck in a claw machine, a 4-year-old girl has learned a valuable lesson. Back on December 20th, while at a restaurant in Arley Beach, Queensland, Australia, a little girl named Poppy Pike apparently found herself in a predicament. Melanie Pike, Poppy's mom, caught the moment on video when she discovered her daughter was trapped inside a claw machine. Poppy's older sister had convinced her to get inside the claw machine in order to grab some teddy bears. Pike and her partner were reportedly enjoying lunch when they were alerted of Poppy's difficult situation by their oldest daughter. She said, "At first, we thought her arm was just stuck until we walked outside and saw her full body in the machine." I'm just imagining an episode of the IT Crowd. Poppy was able to get out of the matter in about 5 minutes with careful instruction from her mom and her mom's boyfriend. There may have been a time when I did a business who may or may not have made a copy of the claw machines, and those toys may or may have not been lifted out of the claw machine, but I can't really confirm or deny that. But you ever stuck your arm?
Have I ever stuck my arm in a claw? No, I never have. I don't understand. Like, I mean, how old did you say was the girl?
4.
I mean, I guess like I can see like a 4-year-old if they're small enough, but those doors aren't like that big, so it's like, how big was this little girl? Like my mind's just blown on.
I'm gonna say the size of a 4-year-old.
Yeah, but still, that like I said, the door's not that big. Is she like a hamster and like they can just kind of squeeze into places?
Right.
I mean,
I
I'm
just
imagining
realized I
my
ate a
son
piece
at
of ice.
4, and he wouldn't get stuck in a claw machine. So his
Yeah, I've seen some big claw machines that like. Sorry, I got a piece of ice in my. I don't know what proper camera etiquette is in the game. Just crunch that and get it over with here real quick. I've been to Chuck E. Cheese before and sports places where they have giant claw machines, and the claw, drop air is like a 2 foot by 2 foot lid. So I mean, maybe the kid crawls in through that.
eh, I can see it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe just be a better
What can you
parent.
do?
Watch your kid better.
Not a bad idea to and where they're at all times. Well, up next, Presto, how about some good fashioned butt stuff?
Oh.
French hospital was recently evacuated due to the threat of high explosives. Now that sounds awful, but just hold on a second because it wasn't necessarily a legitimate bomb threat. The situation was the situation was serious though from a medical standpoint because the explosives in someone's butt. Hospital and reported to the doctors that he suffered from a bizarre condition. He stated that there was a World War I era artillery shell lodged firmly inside his ass, and he couldn't get it out. What was the what was the hospital staff supposed to do? Before they could evacuate the buried shell, they had to call the bomb squad and evacuate half the hospital, just in case there was a fire in the hole. I didn't prove this. Wow. Fortunately, all well, and it all ended well. The shell was harmed, and the doctors safely pulled it out of his rectum. This bizarre medical case happened in the city of Toulon, a picturesque port city in the French Riviera. On the evening of Saturday, December 17th, our adventurous old man arrived at the hospital. We're prepared. That's fucking stupid. He promptly informed them that he had an artillery. He promptly informed them he had an artillery shell from World War I stuck inside his anus and was able to remove it himself. Flabbergasted, according to a member of the staff, they're used to Jesus, if I could only read. They're used to extracting all kinds of things out of people's intestines, but this was the first time they removed a high explosive. We've removed an apple and a mango, shaving cream. We're used to finding unusual objects inserted where they shouldn't be. But a shell? Never. There most likely were a couple of follow-up questions, including serious and how did it get there? The first not report, however, how the shell ended inside the man's butt, so can only guess. Now, the doctors had to take the shell out from where the sun doesn't shine, but first they had to take appropriate precautions should the man develop explosive stomach issues. The hospital management organized an immediate partial evacuation of the premise, and patients were diverted to other hospitals. Only the gynecology, maternity, and intensive care services remained open. To make sure that things were staying at the hospital, to make sure those that were staying at the hospital were kept safe, the staff set up separate tents outside to maintain facilities and take care of the man. Instead of around the shell was a deactivated commemorative item France handed out, Olus, or the French men who fought World War I. The doctors could take and then proceed to remove the shell. Unfortunately, for the old man, they couldn't just pull it out, and he required extensive surgery. Surgeons removed a 7-inch long, 3.5-inch diameter shell from within the man's guts. Oh my gosh. Bizarrely, though, a story happened almost exactly a year ago. In December 2021, a man in England arrived at the hospital with an artillery shell shoved in his anus. What the hell, people? Come on. Excuse me, Jesus, on. Come on. That's just incredibly wild.
My cousin Matt, he worked at a hospital in the Wichita area when he was younger, and he was a nurse. And one night they had a patient come into the ER, and he came from a frat party, and they pulled out one dead gerbil and several other items that are not safe for air that this guy had shoved up there, like him and his buddies were
oh my gosh, man,
going to Pound Town on the beer, so to speak, and he was really inebriated, and so they just got the forceps and start pulling shit out, literally.
Oh boy, that's something else, buddy.
And they had to,
Wowee.
sew up the inside of his rectum. And so Matt's like, dude, working in the ER is the best because you just never know what you're going to see night to night. And I just, man, I'm just thinking the size of a shell from World War II. How do you stretch something that wide?
Practice, I imagine. You can train yourself to do sorts of things, I guess. But I mean, 3.5 inches wide by 7 inches size of, I mean, that's bigger than this Mars Tiki mug, which is, I mean, a little bit bigger than my hand. I don't know, buddy. I consider mine an Audi, not an Annie, so I'm not
Mm.
about to practice that at all. But I use caution, and also we do not own shoving heads any orifice. It was from the other case a year ago was a World War II shell, so I don't know what's going on. If that's just something that has to do with some kind of good old fashioned European holiday celebrations, I'm not really sure.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, Presto, let's get things going and talk about some more buried treasure, shall we? Now, back on episode 198, thanks to our friend and listener, we covered the story of the famous Finn treasure. And it looks like a treasure is hitting news headlines all over again. The famed treasure fetched over $1.3 million at an auction of nearly 500 individual items from the legendary cache just a few weeks ago. Now, again, you guys remember the Finn treasure was hidden back in the Rocky Mountains by Finn, this eccentric art dealer, after he found out he was going to pass away. It contained gold coins and random artifacts, even a jar that had his autobiography written inside of it as well. Well, the ultimate fate of the riches remained uncertain until this past November, when Heritage Auctions announced that they had been enlisted to sell 476 pieces of the treasure by a private that had purchased the cache. When the month-long auction concluded on Monday evening, all items had been sold for a grand total of $1,307,946. The highest priced piece of the collection was a huge gold nugget that weighed over 1 pound, going for an astounding $55,200 by itself. Meanwhile, the most intriguing item was the sealed glass jar containing what was said to be a 22,000-word autobiography penned by Finn that was purchased for a whopping 48 grand itself. Now, it remains to be noted yet whether or not the new owner is going to open and reveal what the art dealer had written in his autobiography yet or not. But for those of us wondering, with my budget, could I afford a piece of this treasure? You could have gotten your hands on a piece of 3 grams of gold dust, which sold for $900. What do you think, man? Would you have kept all this together, or would you have pennied it out, piece by piece as well? I kind of think it'd be cool to keep it together, but then again, to say, oh, hey, I got this little trinket, it's a keychain that was inside the Finn treasure. What do you think, man?
Um, I would have kept it for a couple more years, especially like, dude, our economy is going to shit right now, and like the
Yeah.
value of everything is going down. I came home the other night and mom was watching YouTube again, and she had the PBS.
Mom was watching YouTube again.
What's that? Oh God, what's that show called on PBS where like people bring in like their trinkets and stuff, and they have um, the experts come in and value it. It's like Antique
Antique
Roadshow.
Roadshow. Yeah.
And so it was an older Antique Roadshow from like 2008, 2009, but then
Mm-hmm.
when they valued the item off in the corner, they'd say current value for 2022, and virtually 95% of the items were all like lower in value. So like somebody had, let's say, like a this lady's grandfather made jewelry for the Tsar,
Mm-hmm.
and he had made like a pair of cufflinks for Tsar Nicholas, and then right before like he escaped, Tsar Nicholas gave it back and said, "Take it with you." And in 2008, it was valued at like $15,000, and now it's valued at like $4,000. So I probably wouldn't have sold the treasure. I would have been like, you know what? I'm just gonna, the economy, has its ups and downs, and we're riding a low right now. So Daddy's gonna hold on to this and wait for the market to improve, and then bam, sell it all at once.
There you go. I imagine that might be what happened this time around. Is with the economy kind of taking a little bit of a dump, they just thought, hell, get it while the getting's good.
Yeah.
Get in, sell it, and then be done with it. Well, I've got one more little story here about some interesting artifacts I'm going to sneak in to keep the theme going, but we're going to take a little bit of a paranormal turn as well. Now, this story comes from The Guardian. On
Fake
a
news.
dark and stormy on a dark and stormy night back in May, exactly 125 years to the day that Bram Stoker published the definitive vampire novel Dracula, two interesting people pored over a document more than 500 years old, room in Transylvania. The document signed by Dracula himself. Lieb and Svetlana Zilberstein were on a mission. Their mission: extract genetic material from the letters written by Vlad Dracula, the historical inspiration for Stoker's vampiric account, left there by his sweat, fingerprints, and saliva. That the pair, who have been dubbed protein detectives, though they prefer to be called historical chemists, estimate that they can build a picture of not only the physical makeup of the
Wallachia.
Wallachian warlord. Wallachian warlord who became known as Vlad the Impaler due to his practical displaying of his friends, impaled on sticks in his front yard.
Usually right up
It
the
was
pooper,
mystic.
out the mouth. Hmm.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right up the keister and then just normally out the side of your clavicle. Maybe your mouth, if things were lined up just right. They said it was mystical that they. It said they were. Cripes, let me get another drink here, pal. Again, live TV. All my straws were dirty too, so it sounds like I'm just, herking into a spittoon here. It was mystical that we were. God bless America. It was mystical that we were extracting Dracula's molecules on the day that Bram Stoker's novel was published 125 years ago. We didn't know specifically that this was the plan, this date. All night after the extraction of Dracula's molecules, it rained cats and dogs and howled lightning flashes. It was really a very magical atmosphere. Dracula blessed his release from the Romanian archive. Now, Zilberstein's sense of the theatrics bellies the pioneering science at the heart of what he and Svetlana do. He said, our job is to find what biometrical traces are left at the time when the historical object was created, and whether or not we can use it to extract DNA, and whether or not it was used from some historical figure. When historical biomolecules are found, we begin to analyze them. This is to determine the molecular composition and age of historical molecules. We mainly determine proteins and metabolites? I never heard that word. These molecules are more stable than DNA and provide more information about the environmental conditions, health, lifestyle, nutrition, and other historical locations of historical people to whom the historical molecules belonged. The Zilbersteins were born. That's kind of, yeah. We found traces of morphine and kidney pathology proteins in the pages of the manuscript, proving he wrote it while under the influence of drugs that he used to relieve acute pain in the kidneys. Oh, interesting, man.
Yeah. I wonder if he was giving birth to a kidney stone.
Oh, you know what? I left out some information here. I skipped over part of their biography here. Uh, okay, so that's what they have determined these things from extracting DNA from people who had died long ago. Their first experiment was on the original manuscript of The Master and Margarita by the Soviet writer Mikhail Bulgakov. They said we found traces of morphine and kidney pathology proteins in the pages of the manuscript, proving the author wrote this while under the influence of drugs used to relieve acute kidney. So, okay, Dracula did not have a kidney disease that we know of. After Bulgakov, we then took up Anton Chekhov. We analyzed the shirt in which he died and his last letter. Chekhov suffered from tuberculosis and used various substances as painkillers, but he died after a stroke. Then they went on to investigate George Orwell's letter to Moscow and found traces of tuberculosis, which he contracted in Spain. That's pretty fascinating stuff, man, to find out that you can kind of, learn these things. In the case of Vlad Dracula, this included a letter he wrote to the people of Sibiu, which is located in present-day Romania, back on August 4th, 1475, informing them he would shortly take up residency in the town. Now, I talked to our buddy John briefly about this, and he brought up a good point. This is pretty fascinating stuff, but how do we know the proteins they're extracting are from Dracula himself and not from anybody else who handled this document from when he wrote it back in the late 1400s to whenever, these scientists are working on the project right now? I don't think we do. I think that's kind of the problem right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating nonetheless. I can't wait to find out, what kind of drugs Dracula was taking when he wrote this letter. Well, to round things out this episode, we're going to hit a few strange sightings that have hit headlines. First off, Preston, what do you got?
Well, let me jump over here real quick. Ghost train spotted chug-a-lugging along an abandoned railway line, leaving locals gobsmacked. That's right, a man said he spotted around 20 oil carriages going along an old railroad track in Plymouth, and assumed by many to no longer be in use. Residents were taken back when a man in Plymouth reported seeing a ghost train on a railway track believed to be abandoned. The man described seeing approximately 20 oil carriages chugging alongside Toot Hill Park, which came as a surprise to those living in the area, as they had long assumed the stretch of track was completely abandoned. However, according to Plymouth Live, the track is occasionally used by freight trains when they need to reverse, which fuck you, science. It was a ghost train. Okay, this was just like in Ghostbusters 2. Yeah, next. Anyways, traveling by rail used to be a popular mode of transport in the area, and you can still see remnants of many of those forgotten tracks throughout the city. Some have been removed and now serve as walkways and cycle paths, and some are derelict and overgrown. So this one was probably an overgrown, derelict, rundown piece of shit, and that's where the guy saw it. And, ghost train, fuck science. That's it. That's all I got. The rest of it's just the history of the line formerly ran from Plymouth Ferry Station, which is now demolished and better known as White Ferris Court. Just a bunch of boring stuff. So, I hate those news articles, those fucking clickbait where they're like, oh, man spotted ghost train, and then come to find out, well, sometimes the modern day railroads, they use that to put the trains in reverse. It was probably a modern train.
I want to believe in ghost trains, right? Little Ghostbusters action there.
Yeah.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
Fucking Mirror UK and your bullshit stories.
I wouldn't have got it from the Mirror to begin with, but whatever. Is the Mirror?
I was hoping for like woman marries squirrels and squirrel unloads nuts inside her house this winter, or lady gave birth to half bat boy. I couldn't find any of the good stuff like that. So
Hey, that's fair, man. I can never tell if the mirror is legit or not, you know. There's been news stories before I found and thought I hit it only to find out they were from the Onion. And also, I've read news stories before only to get to the bottom and see that they too are satire sites. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't pull much. If here's my rule of thumb, folks, inside baseball. If I find a story on the mirror, I then usually type in the headline on Google or Bing to see other websites that are more, I don't know, reputable, to see if they are also commenting on the story as well. But no, I read about the ghost train on a few other websites as well today, so I think we're safe on that one. But yeah,
Okay.
when in doubt, assume it's Bad Boy. Well, our last story comes in today from our buddy Adam. I don't know if you saw about this, Preston, but apparently there was a UFO hovering over a strip club in Vegas 2 days before Christmas.
Hey, aliens want to see titties too, dog.
I mean, you know, what can you do, right?
Yeah.
Workers at the Sapphire Gentlemen's Club on Sammy Davis Jr. Drive published the first videos early on the morning of Friday, December 23rd. From the parking lot, several bright lights could be seen dancing up in the clouds. Around the stationary lights were four spotlights used by the club as promotion, but just hanging in the clouds is what appeared to be four white lights and three red lights. Immediately, you can hear people recording the event, speculating of whether or not it was a UFO hovering just above the club. And it turns out they were not alone. 8 News now also heard from a worker at a nearby marijuana growing business that he saw lights. Both the club and marijuana grower mentioned to 8 News that the lights stayed in place for more than an hour, which is super weird, man. I mean, again, jokes to be made about strip clubs and, you know, weed growing operations, but I don't know. Scientists, again, let's thumb our nose at them, are saying the night weather was relatively cool and there were low hanging clouds, which leads to speculation that it was nothing more than reflections of the lights along the Las Vegas Strip. It turns out this could very well be correct, but not completely correct, since it's never been seen before outside of that night area. 8 News talked to meteorologists at the National Weather Service in Las Vegas and were told that since the lights in the clouds did not appear to move, the temperature in the clouds was cold enough, and there was a good chance what the people that night saw is a phenomenon called light pillars.
Swamp
Light
gas.
pillars are I mean, basically, yeah. Light pillars are described as being long pillars of colored lights streaking through the sky that seem to be perfect backdrops for impelling alien invasions, but in reality, light pillars are a common effect that can be found all over the world, aka swamp gas. Other people online are even trying to match up the lights with other larger hotel casinos along the strip to see if they can get the pattern of lights to match up, which I think that's awesome. I mean, let's rule it out. If it's aliens, by God, I want it to be aliens, but you know, if it's just going to be, you know, a Wyndham or, you know, the Mirage, then come on, let's get it out. The red lights, they say, could have been from Resort World, and other white lights could have been from the Wynn, Encore, the Stratosphere, and the Palace Station. But I don't. You seen the videos of that? It's pretty wild just to see it. Fingers crossed, it's aliens.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Well, we'll have to wait till next to find out.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, what else you got? Anything else? Are we cutting this one short for the last episode of 2022?
Yeah, I think we should. So I ain't got
Okay,
nothing else.
fair.
So my son
Yeah,
texted
no
me that
problem.
he's was stopped by to watch us for a little bit. I don't know if he's still watching or not. But what's up, buddy? Thanks
Ooh.
for tuning in. Dad loves you.
Yeah, what's up, dude? Thanks for watching. Thanks for everyone who dropped by. This is kind of an impromptu recording, but like I said, we're going to get on to a regular night and a regular time and do these pretty much from here on out. unless something prevents us. But we'll keep advertising these midweek to let you guys know, hey, be there at this day and this time, and we'll get after it. But I think that about does it for now. We hope you guys all had a great holiday. We hope that you guys have a happy new year. If you're on the social medias, please check us out. PXL Paranormal on the Instagram. The Pixelated Paranormal Podcast. If you're on Facebook, check us out on iTunes, Apple, whatever it's called these days. We are also on Stitcher, Google, and pretty much any other podcast outlet that I can think of right now. So, Preston, what do you got about YouTube, buddy? You've been really making this a passion project.
Oh, yeah. So 226 subscribers, 149 videos. If you're watching right now, or maybe, it's not a live stream anymore. It just goes back to our regular video feed and you're watching it later this week. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a nice green alien splatter of blood that says like and subscribe. You should probably follow those instructions and like, subscribe, and share with all your friends so that we can grow the YouTube channel a little bit and, get our podcast to the further reaches of the 37th parallel and everywhere else in the world.
There you go. And while you're at it, if you want to support us, please, if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a rating, give us a review. We would absolutely love to share that on an episode. If you have listener stories that you'd like to submit yourself, we're always looking for those. We're always up for another big old listener story episode or even a two-parter like we've had to do recently. Send us your stories to pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. Please also, you can message us, do Instagram, do Facebook, whatever you'd like to do. And I'd like to give a shout out here to Dravy. Dravy commented on our Christmas special, episode 260. Shit, is this episode 261? Did I really goof that up earlier?
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't put it past me. Anyway, Dravy said, love the holiday special, and especially the different format. Being able to see y'all was a nice treat. Nailed it. Well, thank you very much, Dravy. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, what else you got, buddy boy?
And as always, if you need a beard, if you want a beard, if you want to grow the best beard that you can grow while you're riding your ghost train or, maybe spotting a UFO, or maybe you just pulled out a 70-pound goldfish out of a lake in England and you're about to get your photo taken, and you want to look the best that you can look, you're probably going to look like a scuzzer if you don't have Big Dob's Beard Balm in your beard. So you should go over to BigDobsBeardBalm.com and use promo code PXLPARA for 20% off your order. And you can pick yourself up some scents like bay rum, fresh, citrus, mint, classic, and sweet tobacco. Well, I've been rocking the classic in my beard lately, and looks good. It smells good. So get it all. Get it at Dobbs.
I dig it. Looks good. Looks real good. And if you're in the Wichita area, please stop by and see our dear friend Leslie and the rest of the gang at CD Trade Post Pawnee and Seneca. All right. Until next time, guys, please get your questions sent in. We'll do the AUA, Ask Us Anythings, on the next episode for our New Year special in 2023. But until next time, cheers to the weird shit in the world knows of us. I'd love to talk about it.
And stay spooky and stay on the paranormal highway.
The cast at Pixelated Paranormal would like to thank you for listening to this week's episode.
Yeah, I think that was
Pixelated Paranormal is here to tell you tales of the fantastical, the strange, the unknown. Tales that will move you a little further down the paranormal highway. If you'd like to share your own listener story, we would love to hear it. Email us at pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. Again, that's pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. We'd really love to hear from you. Again, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.